Hi, everyone. Eric here with Fast Slow Motion, joined today by Adam Morelli, one of our project leaders, as well as Philip Broadus, who's Vice President of League Growth and Strategy for RCX Sports. RCX Sports is a phenomenal, very interesting company. Philip, tell us what you guys do.
Yeah, so RCX, we are what we like to say the leader in youth sports experiences. So we work with all of the major sports leagues in the US, the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and MLS, getting programming out there for kids. So we work with youth leagues as well as events that allow for kids to participate in a sport that in a lot of cases they wouldn't have the opportunity to do due to rising costs or just not having that exposure. So our goal is to get more kids participating in sports, working with the nice brand we have with the professional sports leagues throughout the US.
How many kids would you guys say you impact just on an annual basis?
So within our leagues that we license, we have over 600,000. But when you talk about our events that we run, you're looking at over 1 million. We have events that run both in the US and Canada that we operate. We've now expanded into Mexico and down into Puerto Rico. And then a lot of the professional teams we work with are over in Europe and even Asia, running events using our platform and just really getting that exposure for the sports that a lot of these kids don't have exposure to traditionally, just because it's not part of their daily lives.
Phenomenal worldwide impact for kids all over the globe. You guys came to us in June of 2022. What were you dealing with as an organization that caused you to reach out?
So RCX had a big shift, obviously, with the pandemic that hit in 2020. We were redoing everything, and that's when I came on board. Soon after that, we at the time was only doing one sport. We were working with the NFL for NFL flag, doing leagues under a license model, and it was during this time that we started realizing there's opportunity with other sports. So we were talking with the other sports leagues. How do we offer this league-based model for all sports out there? At that time, our back end was not built for scalability. It was built around that single sport, and it was very much honed in for what we were doing with NFL flag. So our goal was to change it up completely, make it to where we can bring in all these opportunities for these different sports in one place. And that's where we needed some assistance of, let's kind of blow this up and make it work. And FSM was the best partner for us because it allowed for us to take what we had done and really shift it in a way that it was scalable. We still had the same data that was coming in, obviously, but it was not so focused on a single entity within our licensing platform. It was able to open it up to multiple sports and really build a workflow that fits so that it doesn't matter what sport this person's reaching out to. We can go through the same process and the same workflow.
And Adam, you've been the PL, the project leader with RCX since they joined us a little over a year ago as of right now. Tell us about how we approached this project and what we delivered.
Yeah, so Philip's exactly right. They had a working platform that was relatively sufficient for NFL, but there was a lot of customization that was not going to be scalable. So our focus was to kind of take this back to the way the platform was designed to be used and enable a lot of these default functionalities and rebuild it for scalability. So we reviewed what they had. We brought in the element of we enabled person accounts for when you have a sole operator. That makes a lot more sense versus a Parks and Rec or YMCA running a league for them. So we created parallel paths for business accounts and person accounts to utilize. We built out the nomenclature and the field structure and the automation to handle the different leagues to both be able to delineate, but also be able to combine into the same process. We helped them build out a more robust league qualification process. We then went to integrate with a couple of their additional platforms. They have a new onboarding system that allows league operators to kind of prove their vetting and make sure they have all required items and approvals and spaces and all of that before presenting a league for children to participate in. So it streamlined that process and united that. And it also allowed Philip, from a rolled up perspective, you can look at how everything's doing while your different league managers can review how NFL is doing, how NBA is doing, how NHL is doing, and kind of all work in the same space and be able to collaborate, but also not interfere with one another. So the driving force from the beginning was scalability and leveraging the functionality that already exists, and then create where we need to. So we have a few custom post-sale objects that are managing ongoing leagues and things like that. But for the most part, it is getting this back into letting the system work the way it was designed to work.
It's such a crucial component of any sort of CRM implementation is thinking ahead, thinking for the future, planning for the future. So glad we were able to come alongside the RCX team, help you guys design something that will hopefully help you continue to scale. Philip, what was it like? How do you describe the project itself working with the FSM team?
Well, I will say this. I think we pivoted more than I ever thought we would, because it was funny. When we first started, we just had the NFL flag platform going. We were adding the junior NBA. And then a couple months in, we added the NHL workflow. And now we've added the MLS. And like we just keep adding as we go. And then just the ability of the FSM team to take it with stride. But okay, well, now we're adding in another type of web to lead form. And now we're doing another assignment type for the leads. And we're like Adam was saying, how do we adjust for if it's a sole operator of just a person, a mom and dad or an independent who's running a league versus an organization? Like, how do we differentiate that? What's the onboarding look like? So being able to pivot with us as we go through this and just adapt as things change, it was great, because that's the big thing that in any business, but especially when you're doing one to where you're doing this licensing, there's always going to be those different changes that take place, because the type of person you're working with is different. I always tell my sales team, we're not selling a commodity of the price is X, sell it for X. Like that, we don't have that, because we're working with a licensing model. We're working with, okay, we're giving someone the tools to run this property. How do we do it the right way? How do we make sure that what we're doing, one, is scalable, but it also is strategic? And we know that they're meeting this vetting process. We know they're going through the right flow, so that when we say, as I've said, here's your league, bring kids in, we know, one, they've done everything that they need to do on our side, but they're also prepared for it. And we've given them all the tools to be successful. Because the last thing we want to do is to go to a community and be like, hey, there's going to be this new league for these kids to participate and have this opportunity to be a part of, and the league never starts. So being able to really put that in place and have the system there has been great. And a lot of it comes back to Adam and team being able to give his advice too, of, hey, your all system was customized in this way and you guys were doing it like this. We think you might want to change it. And like that was really helpful for us, because for me, I've always worked in Salesforce from the commodity side of it, of we have a product and we have a listing. With this one, there's different nuances that went into it that we hadn't thought of, because it is different and it's not your traditional sales cycle. So being able to have that advice and get that feedback was great. And it really helped us as we built this out.
Adam, Philip hit on something there that I think makes us a little bit unique as an implementation partner. The fact that we consult before we ever configure. Talk to that a little bit and how we brought that to this project.
Absolutely. And different partners handle this different ways, Eric, as you know, right? There are, we'll engage with some folks that they want this, they want it, they're going to take it that way. Philip was not that case. Philip was very open. He said, we want to do things right. What is that, right? How can we do this right? How can we form this? So our method in doing this is we do try to get an understanding, and not that we could run it tomorrow, but we know Philip's business, right? We understand, we get to know the actual process of their business and what drives it and how things are impacted. So through that, we're then able to say, we know you have a destination in mind. If you're okay with it, work with us to plan the route, because there's going to be some twists and turns. This isn't a flight. It's more of a stream or river, right? It's gonna wind. It's gonna take different turns. But the openness of Philip and his team to kind of educate us on both what they want to do, but maybe why they haven't done it yet, or what has been in their way, or what are the nuances, to where then we can make proper recommendations of, I think we should chart it in this way, and here's why. Here's what the product will be. Here's what it'll look like. Here will be your results. All of that is based on trust and interpersonal relationships, right? Like we got to know Philip and his team. We understand each other, and we at this point we definitely trust each other to make the right decisions on both sides. So that relationship allows us to say, I know you think you want to do it this way, and this is one way we can do it. We think a more robust solution may be X, Y, or Z, and here's why. What are your thoughts? Right? So it's that collaboration in that relationship that leads us to be able to do that.
Absolutely. That transparency, that open communication, that honesty is critical, I think, to pulling off any sort of project like this. Philip, you've gone from one league now to several leagues. You've got worldwide exposure. You tackled some pretty big problems over the past 12 months. What advice do you have for other business leaders that may be going through similar challenges?
I think the big thing is, I'm going to hit on it. You've got to look for that long term. It's very easy to do what was done early on with our system before I came on board of, here's the problem today, let's fix it for today. Whereas what we've built is, here's what our goal is for tomorrow. How do we build this so we can reach that goal and then exceed it? And that's kind of the shift you have to make. You can't look at what the problem is today and let's just fix it. It's how do you build it for that scale? How do you plan for the unknown? We had no idea going into this that we would have all of these different partners at the time. Like, we knew a couple of them, we were having conversations. I never thought we'd get to this point this quickly when it comes to all the different sports we're offering. It's great for us. It's awesome to see the expansion we've had, but being able to build this in a way of, we on our Thursday call, like, oh, by the way, guys, we're adding this sport. And it's, oh, easy. We've built it for it. That's what makes this process so important. And that's why you have to look to it. And like Adam said, if I came in and said, hey, this is what we want, do this. Yeah, it would have been fixed. It would have been built that way. But we probably having that same conversation 3 months later when the next sport comes on, be like, all right, now we got to do this. So build it this way. There's those little things that if you're not prepared for them and you're not looking ahead, you can get stuck in the weeds and actually back it up even more, because then you're having to go back and fix what you already fixed. And I was looking at some documents. I felt like it was early on before we even started the process. I kind of had a map of, hey, here's our flow of what we're trying to do. We want to come in with the traditional lead to opportunity to approve, like going through that process. And I pulled it up a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, we're there. It's not the way that I thought it would be from the steps we're taking, but we built that flow in a way that now is scalable. And that's the most important thing. You can have a vision, but you can't be so stringent of, I want it my way, I want it now, because you can really back yourself up doing that.
Adam, I think we would call this project a success. This relationship has been great. Any final thoughts from you?
No, it's been great. The relationship's been great, seeing the team's ability to grow. And the one thing that I really enjoy closing a longer project out like this is, I think Philip tomorrow could pick up a new league, a new process, a new anything, and go and integrate it by themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we've built it to the point where we truly, as our goal, worked ourselves out of the job for them. And so I think that it's been a very successful and fruitful relationship. I enjoy my time with Philip. I'm going to miss my Thursday calls with Philip, but I think we've done what we need to do for them, and they get to carry on, and we get to move on to the next.
Philip, how can people learn more about RCX Sports?
So you can go to rcxsports.com or look us up on social. We're on all the platforms, but really the key for us is look into what our operators are doing. Look into the sports. You can look up and use our league finders on our different pages with NFLflag.com, MLS Go, NHL Street, Junior NBA leagues. We really want to connect parents and kids with our independent operators so that the kids can have that opportunity to play and participate in a sport. If it is someone who wants to run a league themselves, they want to become an operator, reach out to us through the RCX website. But we definitely want to make sure that we're getting exposure for the kids that want to participate and have fun in an industry that previously has been a lot about the competition and the pay to play. We're here in a different model. We're here to have fun, enjoyment, and just get kids out being a part of a team and learning to really build those skills in a fun and open way.